Good afternoon to one and all. Today we are discussing about the entity relationship model. What is entity relationship model? ER model is the entity relationship model. It means the model it is used to describe and define the overall structure of the any database using semantic and diagrammatic representation. Already we have learned about the database. So what is meant by database? Database is nothing but the collection of information we have storing into the particular database. So in that we have learn about the database management system. Database management system is one type of application. It must be an insert, delete and updated purpose we have using into the database management system. So we have defining the data into the database management system. So that is the logically we have representing the diagrammatic format we have using the entity relationship model. So in that entity relationship model, what are the components are included? So that means entities, attributes and relationships. So in this topic we have discussing about the what is meant by entity and what are the different types of attributes and what are the relationships are existing into the entity relationship model. So let me have this in that. So what are the components? So in that entity relationship model we have defining the different types of components. So those are components are representing into the diagrammatically. So because of the user he can understanding how the data it can be inserted into the database. So these are the components of the entity relationship model. So the total the three components are defined, that is attribute and entity and relationship. What is an attribute? Attribute is the one of the properties of an entity. What is an entity? Entity is nothing but the physical existing in the real world. That is nothing but we have seen the one of the example student is the one of the entity and bank account is the another entity. So these are the different types of an entities. Let me say the one of the examples that so in the ER model we have seen about the one of the example, that means entity can be called the basic object that is represented in the ER model. So in the real world we have to take the one of the example, bank branch can be an entity. So in that bank branch having the different attributes. Already we have seen about the attribute. Attribute is nothing but the properties of an entity is nothing but attributes. The entity it can be represented the symbol is rectangle and the attribute it can be represented the symbol is oval shape. So attributes can be defined into the different ways. So those are the simple attribute, composite attribute, derived attribute, single valued attribute, multi-valued attribute, null attribute. Okay, let me say in the simple attribute. What is meant by simple attribute? A simple attribute, those attributes which cannot be divided into further because those are the atomic in nature. So we have this in the one of the best example, our banking. So the customer having the account in the particular bank. So each customer they having the account number and account name. So account number is the one of the attribute. The customer cannot be divided into the further because of the account number. It is the unique that cannot be divided into. So this is the one of the best example, the simple attribute. And next another example, composite attribute. The composite attributes are those attributes that are combination of two or more simple attributes is joined together. Just like we will take the one of the example, name. The name can be divided into the combination because of the first name, last name, middle name. Some of the members they are maintaining in the names, that means full name and surname. That is the combination. So is nothing but that means the composite attributes is the combination more than attributes is nothing but the composite attributes. And next we go for the derived attributes. Derived attributes are those attributes whose values are derived already stored attributes in the database. That means we have the calculating our age. How we can calculating our age? Based on we are entering our date of birth. Suppose I am finding one of the student age. First of all, I can entering his date of birth. That means that the already existed date of birth and the current year. So in that, the student having the 25 years, the student having the 26 years, because in between we can calculating. That means it can be derived by already stored in the database. So we have the derived his age in the current day. So that means we have the calculating the derived attribute. Age is the best example. We are the calculating the derived attributes. The database, we have to take another example consisting of the height of the class. Then the value of average height can be derived. Average can be derived already available data of students. That's the another example. And next we go for the single valued attribute. Single value attributes are those which can only single specified value or single unique value. So that means we have taken the social security number. This is the one of the unique number. At the same time, Aadhaar number, PAN number. These are the single valued attributes. It may take the only single values. Next we go for the multi-valued attributes. The multi-valued attributes are those which have multiple values against them. That means we have to take the examples address. So some of the members in the cities, they are maintaining the door number, flat number, street. So these are the combinations. That means multiple values we are entering. That is nothing but the multi-valued attributes. So we take the address is the one of the example. Email, one of the persons or one of the customer having the multiple emails are there. And at the same time, in nowadays the students or customers, what are it may be. So each member they are maintaining the different phone numbers. That means multiple numbers are there. So those we are considering the multi-valued attributes. And next we go for the null valued attributes. Those null valued attributes which can be left without passing any value. Suppose the customer having he fill the data, his name without middle name, like first name and last name. Without middle name, we are left the middle. So that means we can call that is the null valued attribute. Next, another one of the component, relationship. The relationship is the one of the third component in the ER diagram. So it is the responsible for establishing a link between attributes and entities per our requirements. Suppose, so in this relation, we are take the one of the relationship between a customer and account in the bank. That relation name we can calling the has an. So simply in this relation model we can calling the customer has an account. Customer is the one of the entity, account is the another entity, has an as the one of the relationship among between the customer and account. A relationship can be categorized into the three major parts: binary relationship, ternary relationship, and degree relationship. What is meant by binary relationship? When any relationship established among two entities, it is called binary relationship. Ternary relationship, when any relationship among more than two entities is called the ternary relationship. What is meant by n degree? When any relationship among any number of entities is replaced with the number of entities like 2 degree, 3 degree, 4 degree, etc. So these types it will be undergoes to the n degree relationship. So another one of the component we have the representing the attribute, that is the oval shape, ellipse. So we are take the one of the example, an university acting an entity, so that have the multiple attributes like name of the university, name, location, and what are the courses are offered is another attribute, and what it will be affiliated colleges. These are also another attributes. So what is meant by key attribute? The key attribute is a type of attribute which alone can be determined entirely uniquely entity uniquely, that can be denoted with the ellipse with an underline. Suppose the student table having student entity having multiple attributes: student number, name of the student, student age. So in that, the student number uniquely identified, we can calling that is an student number is the key attribute. For example, we take the another example. The bank customer can uniquely identified through his account holder. Suppose we can meet our bank account. So immediately, what are the bank account? The customer he having the different types of an attributes: the name of the customer, account number, address, age, mobile number, and these are the different types of attributes. How we can calling it is an unique? So it will be uniquely identified. It will. So in these attributes, we can calling the key attribute. Account number is the one of the key attributes. It can be denoted, the symbol is underline. Multi-valued attribute. Multi-valued attribute is an entity relationship diagram or denoted with the double ellipse. So we have the one of the example. Bank customer is the one of the entity. So in that bank customer, different types of attributes are there: name of the customer and date of birth. So these two are the only simple attributes. We can, that means the name, simple attribute, the name and date of birth. But so in that, we have to take the multi-valued attributes. That means multiple values we are entering the attribute. Suppose we are entering giving the details in the bank email address. So in myself I have the two mail side. That means it will be multi values. That means I can giving the multiple emails. At the same time, I can also giving the address. So in that address, the multi valued means, so I have giving the flat number, street, location. So these are the multi values, and at the same time I can also giving the multiple phone numbers. Suppose I have the two mobile numbers, so that is also multi valued attribute. And next one is the example, that is the composite attribute. The composite attribute is an entity relationship diagram or denoted the linked ellipse. So we have the given out the symbol, one of the attribute. So bank customer is the one of the entity. The bank customer is the date of birth and address and name are these three are the different types of attributes. But the name, it can be divided into, that means more than one. It can be divided into first name, middle name, last name. So that's why it can be denoted, the symbol is linked ellipse. Derived attribute. The derived attribute is an entity diagram or represented as the dashed ellipse. Suppose the student having the different attributes are the student name, student marks, student age and average age. How we can calculate the average age? Because of the current age, date of birth. Based on the date of birth, we can calculating the age. So that means it can be denoted, the symbol is dashed ellipse. Total participation of entity in relation. In this type, every entity is fully involved and linked relationship among this participation. This is nothing but the total. We have to represent the symbol double lines. So the entity relationships, we have to take them. Next, another one, the partial participation. The partial participation, it can be represented the single line. So in this example, we have to take the three entities, the relationship among three entities. The single line denotes the partial participation, double line denotes the fully participation. How we can enhance the ER model? So in the three basic concepts, the generalization, specialization and aggregation. Generalization, it is a bottom approach which two lower level entities combine to form a high level. That means we have take the one of the example, saving and current accounts. Saving and current accounts is an entities that can be generalized in an entity, the name, that means account. It can be approaching the bottom approach because of the account having the saving and current accounts. So that can be covers the both. So this is the one of the best example in generalization. At the same time, we go for the another one, that the specialization. The specialization is the opposite of the generalization. It is the top-down approach in which one higher level entity can be broken into two lower levels. Suppose the student having the two entities we are calling, that means one is for ex student, another one is the current student. Student is the main entity and ex student and current students are the top down. So they are the specialization, and we go for the another one is the aggregation. Aggregation is the process of relationship between two entities is treated as the single entity. The relationship between center and course, which can offers, is acting an entity, which is a relationship among the visitors, is also another entity. So in the real world, the visitor or student visits a coaching center, he will never inquiry about the center or just course, and he can inquiry with both. So that the aggregation is the one of the example. And what are the main advantages of the an entity relationship model? Straightforward relation representation. So it will be ER diagram for a database application. A relational representation of the database model becomes a relatively straightforward and easy convention for ER models to other data model. And also it will be graphical representation, a better understanding to everyone. ER model gives the diagram and graphical representation of various entities. Thank you for